I know you're scared. Yeah, I'd be too. If I were you. I know you're scared. I'd be too. If I were you. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game. Bring your A game. You better bring your A game.
What up, Vikings fans and fans from all over that are watching this? This is JJ Vikings, and we are here with Minnesota Vikings long snapper Andrew DePaola on tonight's show. Welcome to the show. Thank you very, very much for agreeing to this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Of course. And my first question to you, we're going to go right off the bat and say, well, first of all, we're going to welcome everyone here that's just joined and everyone that will join later on. But you were born in Parker, Maryland, and do you still have a connection with Maryland and Parker, Maryland in general?
Yeah, I mean, so we currently live in Maryland, my wife and 3 kids, and we're here right now in our off-season home. My parents still live in my hometown. My wife's from the hometown. We went to high school together. Her parents still live there. So, yeah, we've got a big connection to our hometown. It's Parkton, actually.
Oh, whoops.
It's all right.
Well, that's great because Maryland, pretty close to where I am right now. I'm a Vikings fan. Minnesota is my home state, but I live in Massachusetts right now. But I was born and raised in Minnesota for 7 years, and I have lots of connections, lots of ties with the state, and it's definitely my home. And you were drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2012. Am I correct?
Yeah, I signed an undrafted free agent contract with them in 2012.
Okay, undrafted free agent, which makes your story of getting 2 Pro Bowls even better, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So it was the Bucs, the Bears, the Raiders, and then eventually the Vikings in 2020, and still on the Vikings now. What's it been like? What's your journey for sports been like? And how did you gain your love for sports and for football, whether like football or sports in general, and how has it improved ever since you've gone to the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, I think my love for sports developed when I was just a young kid. I wanted to do every sport possible. I always wanted to be outside and play, play with my friends, play with my little brothers, do whatever I could. I mean, me and my friends growing up, we would invent other sports. We'd like cross sports together and make up new ones just to get out and be able to play more. And I think as I got older and developed, my love for sports just kind of grew even more. And then coming to the Vikings, I'd been in the NFL for a few years. But once I signed with the Vikings and saw how close knit the players were and the team was, it kind of felt like a real brotherhood and like a real family. I just gained a newfound appreciation for the sport and a newfound love that I'll cherish forever.
Definitely, sports is something that you can't let go of, and in a way, sports it fulfills people. Lots of entertainment, lots of greatness that happens in it. To me, the NFL is more than just a game. Considering all the whether emotional things or really, really happy or sad things that have happened in the league, it really defines how heart-wrenching and how nerve-wracking the game can be. And, obviously you've been a part of that. Now, even though long snappers don't have any stats from what I know, I do want to congratulate you on making it to the Pro Bowl most recently, and that makes it your 2nd Pro Bowl. And you were snapping the football through the holes in the Pro Bowl games, and wow, you were very accurate, And it's hard to throw a ball into a hole from underneath your legs. I mean, let alone having to do it all the way to a punter who's at least 10 yards behind you. I mean, how do you do it?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. The Pro Bowl was nice because I was the last guy to go, so I got to see what worked and what didn't work for the other guys and kind of got to take advantage of some mistakes there, which was nice because I was able to get the win and get some points for the NFC. But I mean, long snapping has just kind of been something I could always do, really. I was a quarterback growing up, Pop Warner, and then in high school, and then went to college as a quarterback. So I think having that quarterback background really helped with my ability to snap a football. Um, and I'll say anybody that's trying to get into long snapping, or if anyone's like, hey, do you have any tips? I always say get good at throwing the football overhand. Because if you can throw the football overhand, you can definitely long snap a football.
That's awesome. That's definitely a good tip for someone who's trying to progress their way in the league at either your position or a quarterback. So, do you remember in 2020? It was Week 17, and the Lions they were receiving a punt. The Lions punt returner fumbles it. Jamal Agnew was the punt returner for the Lions at that time. He fumbles the football, and then you recover it. You were the guy to recover it. This was 2020, Week 17 against the Lions. I think that might just be the one stat that a long snapper could have, a fumble recovery, and that was definitely a good one in a clutch situation, and it was one of the things that got Minnesota the win. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs that year, but that was still a nice win to have just to hold on to.
Yeah, absolutely remember. That was my first and my only fumble recovery of my career. And I remember the play pretty vividly. I was one of the last guys to cover, which kind of helped in that situation. We had a couple guys get down there. He kind of broke through a little bit. Somebody snuck in, kind of got their hand on the football, and it popped out. I saw it bouncing around on the turf, and I was like, I got to get on this thing now before it takes another crazy bounce. So I went and dove and got it. And, it's just awesome to be able to kind of help contribute to the win and help the team get the win there. That was quite a memory.
It definitely was. And 2020, it was definitely a special year for me to watch football. I mean, I know the league was kind of lots of things weren't exactly the way it was, like with no fans in the stands and just lots of things that kind of got messed up due to the sickness that was going around. But what I can say is it was really fun being 10 years old watching the Steelers, Chiefs, and Bills compete in the really high stages of the league. And that was something that really helped a lot. And I have to admit, it was a great year to watch football, even though the Vikings didn't do the best, like as best as we thought. But I think it was still memorable. And the most memorable season for me was 2017 due to having Case Keenum, Stephon Diggs, and Adam Thielen in his prime, and lots of great things happening there. But overall, I think it's been a great 13 years of my life doing football, or at least I started when I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, dude, 2020 was wild. It was a wild year. Something I'm grateful I was able to be a part of, because playing in a professional football game without any fans in the stands was something you really can't picture or understand unless you actually did it. And I mean, I don't know if we'll ever, hopefully not, hopefully we never go through that again. And I don't know if we ever will, but just to go through that is something that I can always remember and then tell stories about. And then 2020 was the year I signed, halfway through the season, kind of made it back into football and got the opportunity with the Vikings. So it's kind of like two memorable moments for me there with that year. And then, 2017, I actually remember that the Vikings team that year, because that was the year I was with the Bears, played against the Vikings twice. I remember our final game of the year was at Minnesota that year when I was in Chicago. And that was the first time I ever heard the Skull chant. And I can remember just stopping in my tracks and being like, what is this? Like, this is nuts. It was really, really cool. I was like, this atmosphere is wild.
Now you get to play for it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, 2020 was crazy because, I could hear a pin drop. I could hear all the tackles. I could hear all the talking. I could hear your guys' footsteps. I could hear all of you guys running. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think we'll ever go through that again. I hope not. But on to a different topic. What's it like not only being an elite special teamer yourself, but also playing alongside other elite special teamers like Josh Metellus, with him playing all those other roles on defense as well, with 13 positions on defense, still playing high at special teams, blocking a punt back in Week 16 of 2022 against the Giants in the winter whiteout game, and Najee Thompson, who He's been a good punt gunner. Has been stopping punt returners and other special teamers as well that have done very well. What's it like playing with them and being alongside their great energy?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the privilege to play alongside some of the best and played against some of the best special teams players in the league. But you talk about a guy like Josh Metellus. I'll tell you what, if he's not one of the best special teamers in the league, he's definitely up there and he's in that conversation because that guy is dangerous no matter what position he's at on the field. And I think what makes him such a elite player is his ability to prepare and the way he studies the opponent. I know with him and me, we talk constantly with him being the personal protector and me being the long snapper. We always got to make sure we're on the same page. So we're talking constantly. He's giving me tips, things that he sees from the rush team, things that he would do. He's like, hey, look, if I was going against us, here's what I would do. And I do the same thing for him. I'm like, hey, look, if I'm blocking you, this is what I would try to do, or this is what I would see, or this is what I see you're giving away. So I think, in that moment, there's a lot of, euphemisms and sayings around football. And I think the one, iron sharpens iron. Well, that's really true. When you got a player like Josh Metellus, who's as good as he is, it really brings out the best in everyone. And just being able to share the field with him and, those other elite special teamers that have played for Minnesota throughout the years has really, really brought out the best in me. And, where I'm at in my career, the two Pro Bowls, I can't say I'm the player I am without Josh Metellus and those guys. So all the credit goes to them. Just being great teammates. It's been a true pleasure to share the field with them.
I bet, and the fans, we see it from TV, and we already know how infectious of a great attitude he has. I mean, his attitude can be spread out to anyone. I was making a list earlier, and it wasn't like recently, but I was making a list of Vikings players that aren't from Minnesota but are so nice that they seem to have those Minnesota qualities in them. Mm-hmm. My apologies, I forgot to put your name on the list because you definitely have those qualities. But I also had Josh Metellus there too because, Josh Metellus is great. He does things for the community outside of football, and is a guy that I can easily admire, and a guy who just makes the Vikings and the NFL a better place, honestly.
Without a doubt. And if there's a kid who comes up to me and asks me, who should I model myself after in my game, Josh Metellus is one of the first guys I say, if you can, watch the way he practices, watch the way he plays, watch the way he prepares. He's very intentional in everything that he does. And I'm a fan of his. So I understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely. And let's move on to Minnesota Vikings, former Vikings kicker Greg Joseph. Mm-hmm. So Greg Joseph, during his time with the Vikings, he nailed a 53-yarder against the Bengals to tie that game up before it went into overtime. He unfortunately missed the 29-yard field goal in Week 2 after that game in 2021 against the Cardinals. Then in Week 5, he had a 55-yard kick that was good, and then after that, a 54-yard game-winning field goal against the Lions, Week 5 of 2021. Then he made a field goal against the Packers from 29. It was a 29-yard field goal. Week 11 of 2021 in Minnesota. And then he made a field goal against the Giants in Week 16 of 2022, excuse me. It was the winter whiteout game, and he made a 61-yarder, and man, that one soared. I could tell, even though Greg doesn't normally make 61-yarders in games, at least from what we can see, I knew that ball was going in. There's something in me that just knew that ball was going to go in, even though I couldn't see the ball with all the white going on, and it's awesome how Vikings fans always follow the trend of the winter whiteout and of the team activities and team things to do, stuff like that. But it was so awesome to just see that ball go in. For some reason, I could see it, and it went in, and that was awesome. So my question is, what's it been like playing with Greg Joseph? So, before the Vikings let go of him, what was it like playing with him?
Yeah, I mean, Greg's a consummate professional. Everything he does when he steps in the building is all ball. He's all business. he's a very serious person when it comes to kicking. He's very serious about his job, which was always great because whenever it was time to practice, he was always locked in, which forced everyone else to kind of get locked in, myself and the holder included. And then, you bring up that 61-yard field goal he hit against the Giants. It's funny because being on the field, snapping that ball, I heard the kick, and I just knew it was different. Like, I was like, that's a different sound right there. And I was like, that's a no doubt it's going in. I just knew it was going in the second I heard the sound come off his foot. And I was like, that is different. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. I just knew that it was like a special, different kind of kick. And just being able to play with him for the past 3 years, the friendship that I was able to forge with him and how close we were able to get, it's nice to have a friend like that that you can rely on and count on. I went to his wedding this offseason. Actually, funny enough, he called me today. He was golfing with another buddy of ours, and they gave me a call and said, hey, so, that's my friendship with Greg is something that I'll have probably for, the rest of my life.
Absolutely. And I bet that kick that you heard was a sonic boom. I bet it was. I bet you heard it like that.
Yeah.
It must have been awesome like that. Yeah. And did you know that he also, I'm pretty sure you do know this, because he made the field goal that ultimately won the Vikings the biggest comeback in NFL history, nailing a field goal from 40 yards out to make it a 39-36 Vikings win, and also kicking technically the game-winning field goal because he kicked the field goal to start off an overtime drive against the Bills in Week 10 of 2022. He kicked the field goal. The Bills get the ball. I know Patrick Peterson got the game-winning interception, but Greg also technically got the game-winning field goal, technically. And then he also had a field goal that he made against the Saints in Week 4 in London, and that gave the Vikings a 3-point lead to make it 28-25, and then the rest was up to the Vikings defense. And then the Saints having that double doink was also very controversial and very beneficial for Minnesota. But I think overall Greg is an outstanding guy, and I think he's a guy who Kevin O'Connell has really helped build his mindset, and so is Matt Daniels, in my opinion, the special teams coach. And I feel like having those new guys come in, I feel like Greg got better since then. And, with the I don't know if I can call them new now. I'm pretty sure they're used to being in Minnesota, but the coaching staff that came in after Mike Zimmer, I think, was very beneficial and for all the players, definitely. And speaking of Matt Daniels, as a special teams coach, how much do you think he's benefited you? Because he seems to have some nice swagger, but also some nice intelligence and coaching, and as a person, he seems like a guy that you want to be around. And honestly, I think you might feel the same way. But I'd love to know.
Matt Daniels is awesome. He is. I can't say enough good things about Matt. He's got this aura and this persona about him that screams he's going to be a head coach one day. Like he understands offense, defense, and special teams. He understands how special teams can complement both offense and defense. He's in offensive meetings. He goes to defensive meetings. He's trying to learn as much as he can. And then on top of that, he's forging these relationships with players. Guys will text him. Guys will call him. We'll watch film. They'll watch film with him. I'll come up and just kick it and talk to him in his office. During the season, I meet with him every Tuesday. Me and him, we watch the film together for a couple hours. Most of the time we're in there breaking down film and talking about what we see. But, a little bit of it is just us talking shop, just talking about life, talking about whatever it is. He's an amazing person. And I can't give him enough credit for where I'm at in my career as well, because like I said earlier about Josh Metellus and some of these special teams guys, I'm definitely not where I'm at without Matt Daniels. So all the credit in the world to him, who he is as a coach, the way he approaches coaching. He's just so intentional, and you can tell that he loves it. He loves the game. He loves preparing. He loves his players. It's just a true pleasure to be able to play for a guy like Matt Daniels.
I bet it is. And we've got a question from a fan here. His name is Norspheus. He's asking, how's the bagel shop doing?
The bagel shop's doing well. I wanted to bring something to this little community here where we live in Maryland that could kind of just tie itself into the community and kind of be a place that people could go for a good breakfast sandwich, coffee, breakfast platter, what may be. I wanted somewhere that people could go to hang out where, you knew each other. It was a real friendly place. So, I think that's kind of what we've started and what we've got going. And this community has just been so awesome, embracing us, making it their own. But it's been a lot of fun. It really has.
That's awesome. Having things to do outside of football, like bagel shops or other things in the community, whatever it may be. I think that's pretty awesome as well. Do you think that the Minnesota Vikings will go far this year? I know it's pretty early. I know we haven't even hit training camp yet, but I think it's the right question to ask right now.
Yeah, I think we'll go as far as we want to. Really, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys or anybody else listening. We've got the players. I mean, we've got the offensive firepower. Offensive line is just a bunch of studs that are just really good at their job. The defense is really clicking and coming together and gelling. You've got a really good mix of some good, solid veterans with some really good young guys with a lot of upside. Obviously, Flo's defensive calls, and then you got KO's offensive calls. Just keep people in a blender. So, I mean, I think honestly, it's just up to us, just up to the players. How far do we want to go? And then are we willing to make the sacrifices and put in the work to get there? And I'm excited for this season. I think it's going to be a memorable one.
Totally agree with you there. I have all the respect in the world for the Vikings front office and the team they've put together to benefit the offense, defense, and special teams as well. And I think it'll really help the team. And I think we'll go at least 10-7 with either Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy starting. And we also have another question here from another fan. This time it's RJ, and he asks, "How are the Rooks doing?" I'm not sure what that means, but
Rooks are doing good. The Rooks are doing good.
The rookies.
Yeah, the rookies are always, it's always interesting because you come in as a rookie and trying to learn a new offense or a new defense. Your head is spinning. You're in a new town, a new city, a new state for most of these guys, trying to understand the culture. But I think they're all doing really well. They all are serious and they all mean business, and they're all really great players. It's extremely upsetting and unfortunate with what happened with Kyrie. May he rest in peace. He was such a special person. He had a very bright, vibrant energy to him. He had an amazing smile. He was an amazing person, and we're gonna miss him dearly. We're gonna miss him dearly, just as a person, man. His attitude in the locker room was really uplifting.
Yeah, I've been making posts on Twitter, encouraging the hashtag Love for Kyrie posts, where you post a picture of him or his jersey or anything that honors him, and then I just write hashtag Love for Kyrie on that, just to find a way to honor him in any way. And I'm gonna miss him as well. I mean, you don't always get like a 6'4" corner very often, or a guy with those kinds of physical attributes and a great attitude. And
yeah,
he's a guy that'll be missed dearly, definitely.
Without a doubt. Turn on some lights here.
Yeah. But I do want to thank you, though, for coming on to the show. You're definitely an exciting guy that I wanted to come on to this show. And, I have all the respect in the world for you. You seem like a great player and an even better family guy as well, and a great person. And, yeah, thank you for coming on. And fans, thank you for watching. As always, you guys are incredible at the support you give. And Skol Vikings. Anything else you want to say?
No, I can't thank you enough for having me on. This has been awesome. I love watching what you do. I love where you're headed, man. Keep your head down, work hard, doing an amazing job. I'm really impressed with your poise and the way you handle this stuff. So just keep it up, man. It's fun stuff to see on Twitter, and your videos have been really cool. And just keep it going, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for that letter, by the way, that you sent me a while back.
Of course.
All right, thank you. God bless you.
See ya.